Ever wondered how many types of owls you can find in Britain? Let's meet them. So, I'm Chris Johnson from SMJ Falconry, and today we're going to explore some of the most captivating birds in Britain. So today we're going to go through each of the species. So we got 5 species in this country. We're going to go through each of them, their unique traits, and how these guys are very, very important in our environment. Before we dive into each species, let's take a moment to talk about what makes an owl, well, an owl. These birds are perfectly designed for life as nocturnal hunters, with some truly incredible adaptations. First of all, owls have unique facial discs that work like a satellite dish to direct sound into their ears. Their ears are actually asymmetrical on their face, so on one side their ear is slightly higher than their eye, and on the other side it's slightly lower than their eye, enabling them to pinpoint exactly where prey is, even in complete darkness. Next, we have their eyesight. Now, owls have large eyes, incredibly large eyes. If we were to have eyes as big as an owl, they would be the size of a grapefruit. Because their eyes are so large, it means that they gather a lot more light than most birds' eyes. However, because of their size, they're actually completely fixed in their sockets, so they have to rely on their neck rotation for full range of vision. Now, owls' necks can actually rotate 270 degrees, so that's about 3/4 of a circle. Now, this is all due to the fact they have 14 vertebrae in their necks. That's a lot more than a human's 7 vertebrae. They also have specialized blood vessels that prevent restricted blood flow during extreme rotation. Owls have also mastered silent flight. This is all thanks to soft edges on the edge of their feathers to help reduce turbulence and noise as they're flying along. This enables them to approach prey undetected, and also enables them to not hear themselves as they're flying because of their powerful hearing. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful features to make an owl such an incredible hunter, its talons. These are razor-sharp claws, especially adapted for catching and holding onto their prey with precision and strength. Some owls can even exert enough pressure with their talons to crush their prey instantly, ensuring a quick and efficient hunt. With all of these remarkable tools, owls are perfectly equipped to dominate their habitats as skilled predators. First up, we've got our tawny owl. So tawny owls are the most common owl in the UK. These guys number in about 50,000 pairs, so there's lots and lots of tawny owls. These are the ones that make the haunting twit-twoo noise that a lot of people get to hear on a regular basis. So tawny owls are generally a nocturnal owl. You can see very, very dark eyes, which is unique and characteristic of our nocturnal owls. These guys are very, very solitary and tend to live in the woodlands, which is why you can see the beautiful brown and white coloration that you can see, which make up an absolutely astounding camouflage for these guys to sit in a tree. And they're incredibly hard to spot. As I say, typically you normally hear them rather than see them. So these guys are very, very spread all across the UK. Purely they'll catch a vast variety of prey. So they'll go for little mammals, they'll also catch birds, and they have even been recorded catching fish as well. So they catch a very, very diverse amount of prey, and they'll live in any kind of patch of trees and woodland. As such, are very, very easy to see the entirety of the UK. So now let's meet one of the most iconic and mysterious owls in the UK. So this is the barn owl. So this is Twilight. Now, Twilight is my 11-year-old barn owl. Now, barn owls are one of the easiest owls to identify with their ghostly white feathers and their unique heart-shaped facial disc. So these guys are often associated by being called a ghost owl and their ghostly appearance. So the barn owl is one of the easiest owls to see in the UK, purely because of the way they hunt. So unlike most owls, where most owls generally just sit, watch, and wait for their prey and use their beautiful camouflage to hide against the bark of a tree, Barn owls are not like that. They're very active hunters. So these guys will go out into a field and literally zigzag up and down, crossing the entirety of the field. But essentially, they're not really looking for their prey. They're generally speaking, they're using their large facial disc to locate the sounds of a little mouse or any prey species underneath the grass. And then from there, they'll do their beautiful little angel hover and then pounce down with their incredibly long, sharp talons to grasp hold of any little tasty snack. Now let's meet the little owls. So this is Spud. So Spud is a little owl, which is one of the most charismatic and bold owls in our country. So these guys are not actually native. These guys were introduced in the 1800s, so they've been in this country for quite a while now. These guys have spread all over the countryside since they were released, purely because they live all out in the countryside in little outcrops and little buildings. They can even nest underground in little rabbit warrens, old abandoned rabbit warrens as well. So these guys will catch a vast variety of prey, from little insects and bugs and little worms. They'll even quite happily thrive off little slugs and snails as well. So Spud here is actually quite an old little owl now. She's actually about 8 years old. It's a very good age for a little owl, but in captivity she should easily live until she's a teenager and maybe even into her 20s as well. So little owls are very easy to identify because of their very, very potato-like shape. But they also have beautiful yellow coloured eyes and very, very frowny eyebrows. Those white eyebrows, really, really distinctive. So little owls are quite easy to find in the UK if you know where to look. So they will live on little outcrops and things like that. These guys are actually a diurnal species of owl as well, so they're active during the daytime. And one easy way to actually know and find where little owls are nesting is listening out for their very, very unique call. It's a very, very high-pitched kind of yipping call. Now let's meet one of Britain's most secretive owls. This is a little long-eared owl called Bugs, with beautiful striking ear tufts that you can see on top of his head, and a beautiful mottled plumage. These guys are one of the hardest owls to actually see in this country because they are so secluded. They generally live in dense woodland, where they are beautifully camouflaged with their big little tufty feathers on top of their head. So despite being called a long-eared owl, these guys, those little feathery tufts, they are just feathers. Their ears are no longer than any other species of owl. The little ears are hiding just by their eyes, just like most other species of owl as well. These guys generally sleep during the daytime, and they are generally just sat up in a nice tree, camouflaged against the bark of the tree perfectly. So they're very, very hard to spot. But they can often be seen at dusk, hunting over little fields and meadows, hunting for little mice, insects, and little voles and shrews and things like that. So the last species of owl that we have in the UK is a short-eared owl. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a short-eared owl at SMJ Falconry. But we can still tell you a little bit about them. So short-eared owls are one of the most fascinating owls in Britain. They're actually one of the daytime owls, so more of a diurnal hunter. These guys are often seen hunting low over grasslands, marshes, and even up on the moors as well. They are a ground nesting owl, so a nest on the ground, so very, very different to most species of owl that you'd find in this country. Now they're very, very similar to our long-eared owl in their facial shape, but the difference with them, they have incredibly small little tufty feathers on top of their head instead of the very, very long tufts of the long-eared owl. These guys obviously have very, very short, little tiny tufts on top of their head. So short-eared owls are actually known to be a migratory species. So these guys will actually migrate across into Europe and then end up down into southern Europe from this country as well. So they'll nest in this country in the spring and the summer, and then they'll migrate across and over into Europe during the winter months. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed learning about our wonderful world of British owls. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment about any experience you've had about our British owls, and subscribe for more videos from SMJ Falconry.